Let us first understand what is research first. Research is doing a search in order to investigate a problem to arrive at some conclusion in which you are going to contribute something, add on something, innovate something, or discover something new. Understand, unless and until there is a contribution, research is not counted. So, research is not summarizing, research is not just reviewing, research is rewriting in your own way, in your own words, from your own perspectives, in order to contribute into the existing knowledge of the stream. So, dissertation or a thesis is a very lengthy piece of academic writing based on the original research that is submitted as a part of bachelor's or master's degree or the doctoral degree. Right. The structure of a thesis varies depending on your field of study and where have you been studying from. But typically, it is divided into four to five chapters, which includes introduction to concluded chapters. We will be seeing the chapters in detail also in the further slides. So, as I said, why the variety depends on your field of study. For example, let's say you are from humanities, such as psychology, economics, English, sociology, this kind of area of specialization you are in. Then the thesis usually follows in the long form of a essay, developing overall sense of argument revolving around the central topic of the thesis. The chapters are organized into the diverse case studies, literature reviews, or themes altogether. But if you opt for the empirical research in the subjects like sciences or social sciences, where some kind of evidences are already available, and then you investigate more on the basis of the evidences, the thesis is going to feature all the components that you are going to discuss below. In a certain cases, they are dealt in a separate chapter. The discussion happens in the separate chapter. While in others, we are required to combine them as per the requirement. For example, in a specific type of qualitative social sciences, the discussion as well as the result sections are interwoven together than being dealt separately. Now this is something is not much you might be aware about, but you will get a clarity as we will move on ahead with our today's discussion. So this is a tentative structure. Now this is common for all the disciplines, though you are from science, commerce, arts, or any other independent study background. This thesis is going to follow certain kind of parameters. First, you open with the introduction, followed by the literature review, in which you study, investigate others' works which have been done on that particular topic. At the same time, you also identify various gaps in the studies. So you can address those gaps through your study by contributing into something that is not available, right? At the same time, you also have to talk about how those studies are interrelated with your topic. Then you also talk about what kind of methodology you have used for your study. For example, qualitative, quantitative, formative, or field work, or let's say other kind of methodology that you have used, you have to explain in one of the sections. Then you give an overview of the result section of your research. So here is followed discussion and results sometimes combined together in one chapter. Now it depends on what kind of study you have chosen. In some studies, analysis section always has a separate priority, and then you go for the finding section at the end in the conclusory chapter itself. But in certain studies, the discussion result happens together. Last section usually comes, that is conclusion, that shows your contribution. What are your major findings and what do you suggest through your study? Now, these are some interesting steps as a student, every student has to take. Now, research is something that we do with a very larger objective in mind. Larger objective is contribution, definitely, in the existing stream of knowledge. And that's why you have to be very careful while choosing your topic. At the beginning, Out of enthusiasm, in all the zeal and enthusiasm, we come out with very large areas of the study. And many students start pursuing that study and soon get exhausted because you reach nowhere, or there are multiple ways which are coming out from your study, and you feel every way is very appealing, alluring, and you feel like pursuing different kind of study. Then suddenly, why does that happen? This happens because you do not have a focus. Your topic is very wide, it's not narrowed down. So it's very essential for you to first understand the limited study has to go ahead, which is enough, which should be enough for your PhD thesis writing, but it should be in your capacity. Another important aspect why choosing your topic is your topic has to be beneficial, but beneficial not to one or two people or just one particular community. It should be beneficial to the wider academic community. Wider academic community means what? Wider academic community means to many people around you. For example, the larger academics. Now, larger academic community, for example, if you are doing a research in the field of science, in let's say particular, let's say cancer detection, okay, in the early stage, something like that, then this is going to be beneficial for the whole community altogether, right? So this whole, just a second, whole community altogether means what? The whole community is going to get benefited by this. Now, every society, part of the society is going to get benefit by this kind of study, early detection in the cancer patients, right? So this is something is very large, very large mass of the public is going to get benefit. Then understand that this is the opportunity to showcase your talent. Okay, now this is not something that you can just randomly do. Always understand that you are going to talk about your ideas out, your thoughts out. Okay, so this kind of study is very essential. Now, next important thing here is your goal has to be very achievable in your limitations. Like, sorry for that. Okay, it's visible. My slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay. So this is a platform where you have to talk about your ideas, your thoughts, your various, works you have done, or how you want to implement this particular research, and what kind of conclusion you are aiming at, and how this will be benefited. So you should have a clarity in your mind that what you want to investigate exactly. What should be your topic of study? You should not rely on somebody else who will come and tell you, "Oh, why don't you research in this area?" That research topic should interest you first. Only then you are going to do this long journey. Understand this is a very different degree that we will be doing than the regular degrees. The syllabus is not fixed. The path is not fixed. There is no end term or middle examinations. Those are very typical. Definitely there happens 6 monthly reviews and the final submissions and viva voce. But the whole journey you alone carry on with the help of the pathfinder, that is your guide. But understand you have to carry on the single topic for next 3 to 5 years. So that has to be very interesting, which will keep on appealing you, motivating you to investigate further, study more on that topic, because the aim, the conclusion should be ready in your mind, what you want to achieve out of that, and that will be the motivating factor for you. So always remember, do not be very superficial or overwhelmed by any topic. Be very realistic, be very practical. Whatever topic you choose, it should be in your limit. Okay, so it should be achievable into the time frame that has been given. For example, if you say that I would like to do a survey of the health conditions in various group of people in the whole India. Now, this is something is beyond your limit. There are various age groups in human beings, right? and then you say that whole India, what is the population count of India? How will you study those? Definitely, you can take help of the government reports or some WHO reports and so on. But investigating all these people just in the limited time frame that you have got is not possible. So you can narrow down that topic. Understand you have minimum 3 years to maximum 5. With extension, you can get some more. But understand, do not take unnecessary extensions. That is going to just kill your time. Your study should be very limited so you can finish it up within the time frame given. So you can do the same study of understanding health issues into one particular age group from, let's say, 3 to 18, or 18 to let's say 60, something like that is also very big number I said, or 40 to 60 group people in Maharashtra or in Pune region or in Tamil Nadu or in one particular, you know, district in Tamil Nadu. Only then this is going to be achievable. You can go investigate and do a study. You can do a study on particular community, on particular tribe, not all the tribes in India. Understand, because that will be very large. In your life, as the time goes on, after your PhD completion, you can definitely keep on doing this research if you are really interested to study all the tribes in India. Go ahead with it, but not now for your PhD. For your PhD, you have to limit it out to only selective tribes, right? One, two, three, five, which are in your capacity where you can reach the data, you can get, and then you can investigate. If you are very much interested, even after the completion of your degree, you can continue with investigating other tribes, because research is something that never finishes. It goes on. So it starts with your PhDs, but it does not end with your PhD. Rather, this is just a milestone, understand. But this is a larger milestone which is going to give you recognition as a researcher, which is going to give you a tag of a research scholar. And this is also going to teach you the core research. And that's why we have to investigate and invest properly into our PhD study. You also should have the clarity in mind why your study is important. It should be benefited to the larger community. Now, second step is examine what is expected. For that, you have to study thoroughly the protocols, ethics, the handbook given by the university. Every university has designed their own handbook. Okay, of the for the PhD students. So there is a student handbook, student manual that you have to go ahead with. At the same time, if there are some UGC guidelines, you also have to study those thoroughly. So you will understand what are various expectations this degree have from you. So according to that, you can plan your work. For example, as a student, you should finish your study within 3 years span of the time. You should take such a topic which should be beneficial to the larger community. At the same time, you should not uh, dilute your study with anybody's work copying. Plagiarism is strictly prohibited. So your work has to be a genuine piece of work. All these things you have to keep in mind, and those things you learn from these handbooks. So do not please feel lazy. You have to just take time, and first step that you have to do once you are admitted for that course is to read that handbook thoroughly. Underline, highlight, make a note somewhere, and then please follow those guidelines. Some university do have their own different requirement parameters, and some university do have other. So you have to just check out what your university expects from you. Then how is the thesis structure? Please study that out. So even in the handbook, the structure of the tentative skeleton of the thesis is given, as I showed you before, like introduction, methodology, review, and followed by other analysis, results, and discussion and results and findings and conclusions. Right. So please study that thoroughly. If possible, refer some thesis which is in your field, which have already been published by the previous student, and that is in the collection of the library, right? So please refer those out. Those are going to give you a thorough guideline, rather a ready-made source for understanding how is the tentative structure of your thesis would look like, how much work you have to do. You have to write around 300 pages, understand? And writing those overnight is not possible. It's a long journey that you have to go for, and it's a very systematic process. PhD thesis writing is a very systematic process. It starts with first step, that is choosing your topic wisely. Second thing, reading about the ethics and protocols, understanding what are various expectations. You also have to just check out, once the topic is decided, what kind of methodology do you like to use. Would you like to go on field, or would you like to be in your uh, you have some limitations, so you will be doing the library research, or would you just work in the laboratory? Okay. Or would you refer to the government reports or some other data as your primary source of the study? Once this is decided, you can decide about the source material that you are going to use. So you have to identify your primary source of the study and the secondary source of the study. Primary source of the study is something that is the core foundation required for the core foundation of your PhD thesis writing. For example, if I am the student of literature, would be working on some novel, okay, investigating some perspective of how marginalized people are portrayed in the works of some worker, let's say Chinua Achebe. Then I have to read that novel thoroughly. That novel would be my primary data. Thereafter, the theory of marginalized, if somebody has written, for example, Gayatri Spivak, who would have written about subaltern, then reading her book, that book will also serve as one of the primary resource for my study. Then I'll have secondary resources like some other people who has worked on the same concepts and so on. So these will be my secondary resource of the study. Secondary resource of the study may have research articles published on, let's say, you can find those on Google Scholar, ResearchGate, or you can also find some information in some lecture series. You can get some resources from the PhD work of the previous scholars, or from some books, scholarly books which are related to your field, or in from the interviews, or investigating some data, or from the experiments, or from the reports which have been written on certain experiment or on some data collection. All these will be your secondary source of the study. So you have to identify and finalize the source of the study. Once this is done, what form of analysis are perceived as appropriate, you have to understand. So there are certain methodologies or certain techniques and tools which are recommended under the guidelines. Please study those thoroughly and choose which is applicable to your study. For example, if you're working on a novel, I want ask you to go for the field study. Library research will work for you. Qualitative research will work for you, right? So you have to identify certain research methodologies, tools, and techniques which are applicable to your study. Once this is done, then you go ahead with the thorough investigation of the data collection. Before you go for the data collection, you have to have a clear goal in your mind, and you should have a tentative structure ready in your mind. Like, I'll have 5 chapters in my thesis. My first chapter talks about the introduction, theoretical framework. Second talks about the methods, literature review, and so on. Third chapter, fourth chapter will be dedicated to the analysis. Fifth chapter will be findings and conclusion. So this is the tentative idea I have. Then you have to start crafting your research proposal. In the research proposal, you have to talk about what's your topic at the hand, what is the problem statement you will be working on, or what are the hypotheses. Thereafter, you have to write about your clear aim and objective of the research. You also have to talk about who would get benefited by your work, why this study is so important. At the same time, you also have to add on about what are the tentative results expected from your study, and various resources for the references, what kind of methodology you will be using. So all these things come under the research proposal. So this outline of the research proposal has to be very carefully crafted, because this is the first piece of writing that you are going to submit in front of the committee for the approval of your research title or your research topic. So you have to be very careful while designing it out. At the same time, the same is going to be useful for you when you go ahead with your first and second chapter writing. Almost some of the part are similar. So you please craft it very carefully. Understand that will also be a baseline for your study, like a roadmap for you. So you know where to walk and how to walk. That's why this research proposal is very much crucial. Do thorough reading and a thorough research before you craft this out. Collect enough data so you can write something which is very concrete. Make sure that you structure it out carefully and do not feel lazy while restructuring it out. For that, you have to make sure that you proofread your work very carefully. Though it's a research proposal or your PhD thesis, you have to read each bit and a piece that is involved in your writing. So there should not be any scope for any error, neither grammatical nor contextual. So it should be grammar error free, and contextually also it should be sound. There should be cohesion and cohesive devices. Those has to be very carefully maintained. There should be proper collocation in whatever you are writing. So if you find some changes required, some additions required, or some part you feel is very extra and you want to delete it out, please restructure it. Drafting and redrafting is a very common part of research writing. You may have to draft once, twice, fourth, fifth time also. Many times you have to go ahead with that. So don't worry about that until it gets finalized and it gets book bounded and final thesis submitted. It goes, it undergoes lot of processes, lot of changes because many people are involved. You do a thorough study, you write it out, you read, proofread, you give to the expert proofread, you show it to your research guide. Guide suggests few things. You have to do the pre-submission viva. The committee experts suggest something. You have to do those changes. So it undergoes lot of processes. Understand? It's like a gold which undergoes a lot of processing. But remember always the ultimate result is the gold itself. The ultimate result is golden. It's very rewarding. So do not feel lazy about that. Many of the students, lose their motivation because you choose very random topic which is not feasible, which is not logical for you. That's why you have to make sure that your topic has to be very comprehensive in your capacity. At the same time, enough data should be available for that topic. So you please spend time before finalizing your topic. Second thing, you do not plan your writing. That's why you feel overwhelmed when it comes the closing of your deadline. And then you start writing and then you could not finish it up and then ultimately you give up. Please do not do that. Please remember again and again, it's a very systematic process. Write as you go, as written here in the step 4. So your aim has to be for a suitable target. Do not wait for I'll collect the whole data, read everything, and then I'll finally keep writing. Do not do that. Once I'm reading some article, I find some notes, some points important. I write in the notes, either in on my laptop or I make a separate notebook. And then when I have to finally compile everything out, I'll refer to everything. So everything will be addressed. Check that you have addressed everything. Anything that is very important is not missing. It becomes possible because you write it out. Human brain has limitations. You cannot remember everything, understand. We are not superpowers, right? Our human memory has limitations. So always build a habit of writing as you go. Start writing your thesis from day one also. It's okay. Many changes are going to happen, but at least it will start getting some shape. It will start changing it up, taking into going into some direction. If you wait for a while, like 1 year I'll finish reading and writing small notes, and then second year I'll sit for writing, do not do like that. It's very systematic thing. You have to first lay a foundation. You have to talk about what are your aims, what is your hypothesis, what are methodologies. Then you have to go for literature review. how people have investigated the same problem, how it is related to your study, what are various research gaps, how you are going to address those gaps through your work. You have to talk about that as the time goes on. Then you start analyzing your data of your core study. Then you lead to the results. So it goes systematically hand in hand. Always remember to please keep frequent backups. I mean, you all are very smart enough, but somehow we are lazy or procrastinating. Procrastination has gone very high among all of us due to the overpowering of the social media and COVID and many more things, right? We are all working under a lot of pressure. But please have mercy with yourself, the kind of quality work you are doing, and please make sure that you are frequently backing up your data. So keep multiple copies. If you're writing in some drive, then please share that drive with your friend also. At the same time, as the time goes on, copy the whole thing that you have written on that day and maintain it on some other MS Word. Keep sending it to your other email ID as you keep writing. So let many emails pour on your other email ID. It's okay. But you put the date, that particular date, put the writing in the body of the email and then send it out. So you will have some draft collection. Keep backups in the pen drives or hard drives or in the printed form. So in case something suddenly happens, either you or your friend or your laptop or your pen drive or your hard drive, somewhere the backup is available, because it's a huge amount of work we do. We cannot start from scratch if the time goes very ahead. It's very difficult. Anyways, anytime we can always begin from zero. That is a reality. But why to do that? When you are doing a handsome work, when you are investing enough in every step carefully, you are spending time deeply understanding and then going to next step. So please invest some more minutes and add into the multiple backups. At least 2 or 3 backups you should have. Always keep a track of your work. So keep a track of your work means you have to please pay attention. Am I studying on daily basis? How is my study pattern? I have studied for 4 days and then next 4 weeks I haven't touched my studies. It should never happen like that. Because in the next 4 weeks, you are going to forget about what you have done in the 4 days. Then you have to invest more amount of energy again doing the same part. Understand? Again, you begin from scratch where you left last. You don't remember that. Do not overburden yourself by giving a larger target that I will be studying 18 hours a day or 8 hours a day. That's also very huge. Remember, you have another 3 years to go. 365 multiplied by 3. See how many days you have in hand. And then, with the calculation of some days here and there, if you have some family emergency function, if you are not well, if you are into something else, because most of you might be working also, your work pressures, we are family people, you have multiple things at this age. So remembering that some days left here and there, every day, how many hours I should spend? Minimum of the 3 to 4 hours of the study should be there every day, though not those 4 hours together, but equally proportionately divided into the day. That morning I'll study for this many hours. I'll definitely spend time into the library. If you are a full-fledged student, then nothing like that. Spend some more hour, minimum 6 hours into the library. Go with your books, study there, go with your computer, study there, and finish your study. The more time you spend with your topic at the hand, the more clarity you will get, the more expertise you will get. So make sure that minimum you are spending at least 4 to 5 hours daily, or at least 3 to 4 hours daily, not to overburden, and then maintain that frequency. Okay, 1 or 2 days less here and there, if there is some gap, please cover it up by adding on into half an hour, some 45 minutes extra some other day, and just make sure that you have finished your other study. But do not let there be very long gaps. Otherwise, your study will be discontinued. If there are unnecessary long gaps, then you will also, there are high possibility that you will lose the interest. If you overburden yourself, then also there are high possibilities that you are going to overwhelm, and you will feel that this topic is beyond my capacity. I'm not able to finish it out. I won't be able to do it in 3 hours. I'm not able to do my PhD studies also. I'll give up. Many students feel like that. So 100 take admission and 10 somehow finish their PhDs. This is a reality, sad reality into all institutions. Don't be the part of those 90. Be the part of these 10 who successfully have done it. And there is nothing rocket science. It's a very plain, straightforward formula. Understanding the core meaning of the word research, a systematic investigation. So this systematicity is highly important. So always keep a track record of your study. Please revise what you have done in the last previous days, because if you keep on studying every day without any revision, then it won't be possible on the 100th date what you did on the first or fifth day, right? So there should be frequent revisions, those you should do. So there will be a connecting link. Continue to question yourself. Maintain a questioning and critical mindset. Am I going into the correct direction? Whatever I have studied, what is the conclusion of it? Is there any contribution? Or is this interesting? Whatever I have written, do I feel excited while reading it out, or is it boring? If I feel reading boring while reading it second time, I don't feel like read it for the first time, understand nobody is going to entertain your work. Nobody is going to read it out because this is going to be very boring for them also. Make it interesting. Make it interesting for yourself first. Put efforts. Study thoroughly. Investigate properly. Try to find out different angles to it. So, if you feel interested, only then others will feel interested in your work. Understand. This is a key success of your research work. Explain your reasoning, forming, and strong arguments. Make sure that you are convinced first. What are statements you are making, what are arguments you are making, they should be backed up with concrete data. India is a democratic country. A statement you have made, it should not be a random statement. Why India is democratic? You should prove it out properly. Only then your statement becomes valid. It has some strong strength in it. Understand? Please remember this point. So, lot of referencing is required. Please learn various methodologies of study at the same time referencing style sheets also, because throughout your research you have to add those. For example, footnotes, citations, numberings, superscript numbers, okay, uh, page numbers, or some author's name and other references you give in the mid text references. All these things are very essential for you to study. You can follow, you can master MLA, APA, Chicago, Oscola, this kind of style sheets of writing. That should be done before you start writing your thesis actually. The moment you have a clarity on your topic, the moment you have a clarity on your methodology, the moment you have clarity on what would be the structure or the outline of your research work, the very fourth step that you have to do is thoroughly study the research methodology, the referencing style sheet, because the once you start writing, you have to start implementing that at every step of your write up. Okay, so please invest some time in it. Nowadays lot of online helps are there, such as if you put in Mandalay, you get ready references. But I suggest as a research student, you should have a knowledge of it. May possible you may have to guide someone in future, you become the guide, then how will you do those guidings? So it's always better that you learn on your own, and that's easy and very interesting, and you can adopt those habits, and then in your further works also, other works like teaching or your other studies or your jobs, there also you will have this research aptitude and you will have very systematic writing. So please make sure that you are doing a thorough writing itself. Now, another important thing is bibliography. Bibliography contains plenty of references. If you want to have your write-up plagiarism free, then you have to make sure that you are citing and referring each and every source of information that you are borrowing from others' work. Make sure that each and every information is cited properly. Intake citation and at the end citations in the form of bibliography. Make sure that you are writing it properly. Please study some proper referencing style for that and choose according to your area of study. For example, MLA, APA are mostly recommended for arts, sciences, and other studies. But Chicago usually goes only with the sciences. Oscala goes with the legal studies. So likewise, you have to just check what is the style sheet that has been recommended by your university. Whatever is recommended by your university and your guide, please abide by that and follow it out. Okay, you can take some good research methodology book and learn all these citations, referencing styles, because it tells you out how to give a full stop, where to give comma, where to use brackets, which kind of bracket means what, right? What is mean by the superscript numbers. So all these very minor but very important things are taught into the referencing or research methodology. So please study that out. Last but not the least, the step 6 is well structured, coherent, and polished writing. Well structured, systematically following the steps, the structure. Introduction, analysis, conclusion, followed by bibliography. Coherent means logical. Whatever you have written first should have connection in the whatever you have written second, third, fourth. So it should go hand in hand. This cohesion is very important. Reassessing the logic of the whole piece. Once everything, 5 all chapters, let's consider, are done writing, please start reading from the first till the last word and then see if there is one logical connection in whatever you have made. If there is a single argument that has been followed throughout your writing, it's very important. If there are some gaps, then please tighten the nuts there, recorrect those gaps. Sufficient timing should be given to the proofreading and proof checking. Understand you have invested enough into doing thorough investigation, data collection, analyzing, and writing your results or the conclusion of your study. Then just some more time and you are ready to go for your submission. But this step, which is in the middle, which bridges these two steps, is very crucial. That is proofreading. Proofreading should be done at multiple levels and enough time should be given. I suggest proofreading should be done as chapter wise you keep finishing it out. Step 1. Second, proofreading you yourself should do when from start to end once your thesis is done. Then you give it to for the proof checking to some other subject expert. If you are writing in certain language like English, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, then give it to the language expert because that person is going to identify language error or grammar errors. So grammatical correction will be done. If when you give to the subject expert is going to do the contextual error correction. So these two are different people who are going to help you out. Then you can give it to your guide. Do not give something half raw, unchecked to your guide because your guide is very busy, a very senior fellow. So it's always better before you give it to the guide, it should be properly proof checked. So the errors should be eliminated. So the guide will be doing your proof checking for you. Whatever guide suggests, make those changes. Okay. And then you can implement those changes immediately in your study. Okay. Then always make sure that main argument should be supported by relevant citations. As I told you, whatever statement you make sure that it should be backed up with enough data. Contributions of the most influential theories and research has to be there because that is a foundation, strong foundation that makes your thesis strong, effective, and powerful. And if your strong foundation is laid very powerful, then you can build your mansion of your thesis very strong. Always remember. So do not do anything random. Your work should be based on the theories. At the same time, the research works cited by others. This is a tentative standard format of all theses. Like there is a title page, followed by acknowledgement, abstract, table of contents, list of figures, tables, and so on. We will be discussing it one by one. So this is how usually your first page looks. And the same page is printed on the cover also in golden letters, beautiful golden letters. So usually the thesis covers are black in color and with golden letters. In some universities, they do have navy blue or dark maroon colors. So it depends on your universities. So first comes is the title of your work, followed by your name, then the guy's name submitted to, thereafter the year, month and the year of publication, and the name of the department and the university. Page of acknowledgement is a very beautiful place given by all those people who have structured the first structure of the thesis. You can thank all those people who are directly, indirectly help you out to finish your work. So please take your time and make a note that you are thanking each and everyone, including your friends, family, supporters, and your guide, because the one who constantly been there for 3 years with you. First comes abstract, which is usually a summary of your work. It depends on the length of your thesis. My thesis was 300 pages, so my abstract flowed into one whole page. So almost flowing into 5 paragraphs. So not, of course, 150 to 300 words. It was more than that. 150 words is usually only for the research paper writing. For thesis, it is little lengthier. Um, but always remember the second line written here. Abstract should always be written at the end of your whole thesis writing, because abstract is actually a reflection of what you have done in those 300 pages. You cannot write it before the completion of those pages, right? So finish writing all the chapters till the conclusion, conclude your thesis, read it out thoroughly once again, and then summarize it out in the form of the abstract. So and the next researcher, when want to refer your thesis, is going to first read the abstract to understand if this study is relevant to the next person's study or not. If not, if abstract is not interesting, the person will not refer your thesis. That's why we have to very carefully craft our abstract, where you have to state the main topic, aim of your research, methodology, summarize main findings, and state your conclusion. So abstract is a very important component. I think I have given one talk with IoT itself, how to write the research title itself and how to write abstract. So you can refer to all both the videos also, which will give you more idea in detail about title writing and abstract writing, because these two things are very crucial. Once your title is confirmed, you cannot change it out, okay? At the same time, your title is going to talk about, it's a just small summary made in just one line of what you have done in those 300 pages. So that title is a very crucial body of your work. In table of contents, you can write about how your chapter is flowing with the page numbers. If you are using abbreviations or numbers or tables, you can give the details of those here. So the person who is reading the page number 45 sees BRE written. Don't remember what BRE means. Might be somewhere mentioned in page number 5 or 1. Person cannot go and keep finding. The person will land directly on the page of abbreviation and find out what does it BRE. BRE is British English, right? So this abbreviation is very important. If you are using some technical terminologies, please give a glossary of it. Glossary means words with the meaning. So it will be easy for the persons to glass through your, sail through your work. Introduction is a main component where the topic, purpose, and the relevance of your work is clearly mentioned. I already have talked about it. So you have to work very thoroughly on it, where you can talk about the narrow down focus, define the scope for the research. You can even refer your handbook in which various elements are mentioned. What should be written in the introductory chapter? Usually, it's the problem statement, hypothesis, aims and objectives, scope for the research, scope and limitation, methodology, and so on. So you please refer that out. Then comes theoretical framework, which has literature review. Thereafter, the methodology that you will be using. These are certain methodologies here I have mentioned for you. For example, qualitative, quantitative, experimental, ethnographic. Ethnographic is studying certain ethnicity, ethnical group like tribes. Experimental, where you have to do some experiment or do conduct study, which is based on some experimental itself. There are various methods of collection of data like interviews, surveys, sampling, archives, reports. um, Data of analyzing is statistical analysis for numbers, discourse analysis where numbers are not involved but larger texts are there. You can use tools and materials like computer programs, lab equipments, or some other tools such as Mendeley, as I mentioned. Finding a result section is very important. That is where you have contributed. It is the heart of your thesis. It is the kind of output of the whole work you have done. So please work on it. Work on the finding section where you have to mention all major findings you have done. Result and discussion where you can talk about various elements you have observed, and then what are your interpretation of those. What are interpretation if given in some theory, then you can talk about that. Then properly conclude it out. In conclusion, your conclusion should answer some questions like why this study is important and what value has your study added into the existing knowledge. These two questions should be answered. There comes referencing list in the form of citation and bibliography. Please thoroughly study it out. For example, as I told, for psychology students, APA style sheet is important. American Psychological Association, that's a long form. Others can use MLA and APA, of course. Law student, OSCOLA, as I told you. Even science students can go for APA style sheet. So please study that out. If your work is something that has proof to be given, like on-field work, if you're done and taken some photograph, all these things will come under appendices. Here you can also add the surveys you have done in the form of questionnaires or Google questionnaire or oral interviews or written interviews if you are done. Then you can put it into appendices. Now you'll have question that how can I put the oral or video interview? You can put it in the form of a drive or a floppy disk there with your thesis in appendices. These are some mistakes a researcher should avoid. Please do not skip preliminary pages. Those are very important. There also comes certificate where you and your guide has to sign. Abstract should not be very long than 1 page. Thereafter, contents should not have any kind of formatting errors. Whole thesis should be error free. Please craft it properly, right? Justified, equal from both sides, 1.5 margin to the left, 1 1 1 top bottom left, top bottom right. In this way, Times New Roman 12 font, 1.5 line spacing, everything has to be perfectly followed. Thereafter, citation has to be properly given. No academic integrity violation, no plagiarism, please. No grammatical errors, jargons, or unclear paragraph organization. No technical terminologies or cliches should be given there without any explanation. Okay, so everything has to be properly addressed. And this is where we reach. And congratulations, then you get your thesis uh, awarded if you follow everything carefully and thoroughly. Thank you so much for patient listening. And I open the discussion for